Hi, I'm Chad Colby, track announcer at the Soo. We thought we would give our guests online a glimpse in the differences between your snowmobile at home and a tricked out Soo sled. I'm standing just inside the entrance of turn 1 at the Soo, where tomorrow, Saturday, 35 drivers will see who's going to win the I-500. But first, before that, I'm going to bring in one of the drivers for tomorrow, Cameron Wittenauer. Welcome, bud.
Thank you.
Cameron and I raced here last year on a sled just like this one. And Cameron, what I wanted to do is I wanted to have you and I discuss the differences between a Soo sled and basically a real hot trail sled. Cameron, let's start up front of these two snowmobiles. What's different on the front of your sled? Obviously, I noticed it's a little lower, but what else can you tell about the front end?
One of the biggest things we did, we shimmed the front shocks. We put an
Right.
inch spacer in there. That
Okay.
sucks up the front end a little bit.
So we lowered the shaft.
We
sucked
lowered
it
the
up.
shaft. We sucked it up a little bit.
Okay.
Another thing I did, we put custom spindles on it. Everyone doesn't have to do it. I think there's very few racers here that do that, but that was a way for me to keep most of my shocks still intact.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
The sway bar, we left that in. Some racers get rid of it, but in this, when you're taking the corners like that, it helps out to make sure that you keep that sway bar in to pick up that inside ski at the same time the outside ski is pushing up.
Cameron, one other thing I've noticed on your sled, and I learned that from last year, your ski looks a little different here with this saddle. What can you tell us about it?
This is aluminum skeleton inside, a little stronger. It doesn't bend at all when you're going into the corner. The plastic skis that these sleds come with, when you take a corner, that carbide tends to tilt a little bit,
Right.
and then you end up sliding a little more on the ice.
When you look at these two snowmobiles, we'll take a quick look at the front of this one. You can obviously see one big thing, all the clearance underneath. Full travel, Fox Float Evos, we want that coverage, and we want the flex in our plastic skis to help us when we're battling down a ditch. And Cameron, you and I've done it for hundreds of miles. Hundreds. Thousands of miles.
That's a long way.
You want that to take some of that inertia out of the ski. That's why that's here. This is why on these sleds you also want to maintain this. Full shock travel, you need that when you hit the big bumps. Now, Cameron, when we move back into rider position, why don't you get on the sled right here for me, Cameron? Sure. One of the major differences on a Soo sled, and we learned a lot of this last year when we were the first team, by the way. Let's pass out this little love.
Yeah.
That brought a rush here to the Soo.
And the only one this year.
Okay, and the only one this year. But you got to outdo our 8th place. Okay, never mind. So anyway, the big difference here, you're going to notice real quick with Cameron, and I'm going to help with the viewing here. You're going to notice his handlebar is turned. You're also going to notice that his throttle is bent in. And the reason why, when he enters this turn, Cameron, show in the steering what you do there as a typical turn. You're going to come off the snowmobile. And the trick is, he's got a cushion built back here. Actually, it's not even on his butt, it's back on his leg. And that's so he can get that weight in to get his rush to turn around the corner. You know, Cameron, what's the comfort zone for you on this sled? I mean, as far as, it looks like a pretty comfortable position.
Oh, yeah. Yep, it's almost like a saddle. We took a little of the seat out.
Yeah.
Comfortable position going down the straights. Most of the time, your hand isn't even up here. We did put something here to block the wind. It's all about rider comfort. If you don't have a tall windshield on these sleds, your head blows all over.
Right.
You've all probably done that at home. But we make sure the wind isn't touching us. Most of the time when we're going down the straights, your hand's either back here to stay out of the wind, or it's in your lap, or it's behind your leg to keep warm, because it's such a long race. You don't want to get close.
Yeah.
500 miles, yeah.
Right. You know, the other thing that's key to this, and if I could get the camera to come in a little bit, when you make driver changes, when Johnny gets on this snowmobile, everything's in the right position. I say that, the tether switch, the fuel, everything is set up for comfort of these riders. That means when they turn the steering, you can notice the windshield's got a special little cutout. They've done a lot of things here for rider comfort. We'll get back to your normal snowmobile. You know, Cameron, jump on my skidoo. You know, all Cameron's gonna do when he sits on this is probably end up getting a big grin on his face, because this thing is made for just gripping and ripping. I mean, go down through the ditch, light it up and go. And the suspension and so forth is set for that. Obviously, this eyebrow, as we like to call it, you know, it looks cool in this video, but any temperature's really beyond zero. We're going to opt for a taller window to keep some of that air off the driver, but that's all driver preference. One other thing on this sled that's a little different, Cameron, I know you've used these in the past. This has a steering stabilizer on it as well. Takes the shock out of it, a little grip and rip product there I've been using for about 15 years, which works unbelievably well.
Yep.
When you get back here, Cameron, on your sled, probably the other thing we should talk about is traction. Our track setups are completely different. I'm running 1.25 inches. I've got studs down through the center, a traditional setup maybe that you have on your sled at home. It's designed to be the same whether I'm turning left or right or going straight. Cameron, tell a little bit about first of all, your track. What kind of track are you running?
I'm running a Camel Class .91, so it's 9100ths of an inch.
So it's
about a 1 inch.
Yeah, it's an old school track, and the main reason for that is it's going to pick up Cameron another probably 2 or 3 mile an hour at least.
Down the streets,
At least over mine.
Yep.
Probably more than that.
Yep.
What about the studs?
The studs, we run about 3/8 over that just to stick out of the lug. We've got 4 of our in
Now the other thing is do you have them staggered the same across the track, or do you have them different from outside to inside?
We've got them different all over. They're all sporadic, and they're set up where we found that to get the most traction. When you're taking off, when you're going into a corner, you start pitching it sideways a little bit, it hooks up the best.
You know, basically, folks, just wanted to give you kind of an inside scoop as to these two snowmobiles and maybe the differences of what makes a Soo sled work. And the crazy thing about this race, Cameron, you're fixing to do it again tomorrow. We did it last year. We came here with a stock snowmobile set up very similar to this one. Obviously, Cameron learned a lot of tricks from last year. That's why he's probably here. But you can do this. You can bring a stock sled and come compete at the Soo.
Oh, most definitely.
Yeah.
That's what this is. I mean, stock engine, stock everything, yep.
Yeah. Well, Cameron, listen, thanks so much for your time.
Thank you. Yeah.
I'm Chad Colby, announcer here at the Soo, and thanks for taking a few moments to learn about the Soo I-500.